Summer is upon us. Do you want to stay cool and dry at night? Try bamboo sheets from CozyEarth.com. Not only do you get a good night's sleep and stay cool and dry, but also you get to save 21% off just by using our code at checkout. InfoGo. And they have a 100-night sleep trial, so it's a win-win. If you don't like them, send them back, but I promise you'll fall in love with them. And while you're over there, check out their socks. They have a whole line of apparel. And that's CozyEarth.com. Use our code InfoGo at checkout to save 21% off. Welcome to the podcast. I'm William.
And I'm Kat.
And that makes this a dash of info.
Little things you want to know.
So today we're going to be talking about the man who, rewrote American food as we know it. So what does a fluffy whip topping, a neon orange space drink, and a candy that explodes in your mouth have in common? The answer is surprisingly simple. They were all invented by the same man. Not a celebrity chef, not a billionaire entrepreneur, and not someone whose name most people really recognize, but he was a scientist named William A. Mitchell.
Working behind the scenes at General Foods, Mitchell spent his career not in a spotlight but in a laboratory, surrounded by powders, oils, and experiments, quietly solving problems most people never even thought about. How do you make food last longer, taste the same every time, arrive instantly, and still feel familiar?
The answer to those questions led to, the creation of Cool Whip, Tang, and Pop Rocks, products that didn't just fill grocery store shelves, but really help shape childhood memories like mine. Yeah, because Pop Rocks were the thing. And there was like this thing when I was a kid, like, you don't do Pop Rocks and Coke, you'll explode. No?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
But,
Mentos,
Mementos, you probably will explode.
right.
No? But yeah, his name is rarely, it's rarely in any conversation, which kind of raises a deeper question. What does the story of one quiet chemist reveal about how modern food and maybe even modern life gets created? Will you explode if you have Coke and Mementos?
I think so.
If you add some Pop Rocks in there, you're just in a vortex. You're just
Sounds like a bad time. This is definitely time lapsing. Poof, done.
aliens.
But context really matters here. So step back for a moment and look at the world. Look at the world this story begins in. In the decades after World War II, companies like General Foods were at the center of a massive shift in how Americans lived and ate. This was a time of rapid change, suburban growth, busier households, and the early rise of dual income families, all colliding with a deep trust in science and industry.
People weren't just open to new ideas. They kind of expected them. Food in particular it was starting to be reimagined. Meals that once came from farms and kitchens were increasingly coming from factories and laboratories. Preparation gave way to, packaging.
Time consuming recipes were replaced by instant mixes and ready made solutions. Convenience wasn't just a luxury anymore, it was becoming a way of life. The kitchen, once a place of tradition and manual effort, was slowly being industrialized, and right in the middle of that shift was a chemist solving problems that most people didn't even realize existed.
So, really, to understand his impact, first, we have to look at what William A. Mitchell actually did day to day. His work wasn't about creating gourmet meals or bold new flavors. It was about solving very unique, very particular problems. At General Mills, he focused on developing and improving food's shelf stability, helping products last longer without losing their appeal or their flavor.
He contributed to innovations in items like Jello, refining how they set, how they held their shape, and how reliably they performed from one box to the next. His focus came down to a few key elements: texture, longevity, and consistency. Because in the world of industrial food, success isn't just about flavor, it's about making sure something looks the same and feels the same and lasts the same every single time it's used.
I love Jello.
Me too.
Yeah. In simple terms, food science became a kind of engineering experience. It wasn't about just what something tasted like, but how it behaved the moment it left the package to the moment it went into your mouth. And in that shift, food began to change. It stopped being something purely natural and, well, it became something carefully designed. And then, well, came the products that would make his work unforgettable. So let's take a break.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I came across Big Fork Brands recently, and it's become one of those finds you actually want to tell people about, and you don't find that often. Okay. They're doing bacon sausage, plus these really solid pork jerky snacks and Chicago style sauces. Basically, upgrade anything you throw them on: burgers, hot dogs, fries. Throw it on there. It works.
But I bet it's packed full of junk.
Actually, it's made with clean ingredients and real care. That's small batch with no shortcuts, and people are obsessed with the flavor. You can go over to bigforkbrands.com, use our code INFOGO at checkout, and get 20% off anything on the site.
You can find the link and our code in the show notes.
Now that we're back, that's where one of his most recognizable creations comes in: Cool Whip. It was designed as a whipped cream alternative at a time when convenience was becoming a driving force in American kitchens. Instead of needing to buy cream, chill it, and whip it by hand, you could simply open a container and have something that looked, felt, and tasted close enough. Ready instantly, straight from the refrigerator, with a much longer shelf life than anything dairy based.
I love Cool Whip.
It does also taste good.
Yeah, it really does. But behind the scenes, it wasn't traditional cream at all. It was built from air, stabilizers, and emulsifiers. Carefully engineered ingredients that allowed it to, well, hold shape, stay fluffy, and resist breaking down over time. The goal wasn't to replicate cream perfectly, right? In the natural sense, anyway. But it was to create something that behaved like cream in every practical way. Well, and that really mattered to the consumer.
And it worked. Cool Whip didn't just become a substitute, it became the default in many households. And over time, entire generations grew up using it in pies, desserts, and holiday recipes, often without questioning what it was replacing. For many people, it was whipped cream.
And you make some jello, you cut it into little things, you put some Cool Whip in there, you mix it together, and you got
Right,
magic.
right.
It's
The
just magic.
mhm. The bigger idea here is simple but powerful. When convenience wins, definitions start to change. What we think of as real food can shift without us even noticing. If Cool Whip changed what we expected from food, the next invention changed how we imagined the future.
You know what? It wasn't magic, it was witchcraft.
Witchcraft, indeed.
So the next invention was Tang. At its core, it was a simple idea, a powdered drink that could be stored almost anywhere, transported easily, and turned into a familiar orange flavored beverage just by adding water. It solved a very practical problem: how to create something refreshing and consistent without needing refrigeration or fresh ingredients.
But the story didn't stay simple for long. The turning point came when NASA began using Tang during early space missions. In the extreme conditions of spaceflight, where storage space was limited and every item had to serve a purpose, a lightweight powdered drink suddenly made perfect sense. And just like that, Tang wasn't just a kitchen product anymore, it was a piece of a space program.
Mm. Tang. Did you ever drink Tang?
No, I don't think so.
I'm sorry you missed out. There was no other taste like Tang. It was Tang.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, That association with space, it changed everything. What had been a grocery store drink, well, it became a symbol of the future. Kids like myself, well, they started calling it astronaut juice, and advertising kind of leaned in on that idea, and it's a space drink. And in that moment, science wasn't just behind the product, it was the branding. And that's the key idea. People don't just consume food and drink, they consume meaning, identity, and imagination along with it. But Mitchell's most unusual invention, it didn't just change taste, it changed sensation. You should really try Tang. It's pretty good.
I'll have to find it, I guess.
Can you still buy Tang?
I don't know. Then came his most surprising and, in some ways, most playful invention pop rocks. It started as an experiment with carbonation, the idea of trapping gas inside candy so that it wouldn't escape until the moment you ate it. Instead of dissolving, Instead of dissolving normally like traditional sweets, the candy was engineered to hold tiny pockets of pressurized carbon dioxide.
The science behind it is straightforward but striking. When the candy hits your mouth, saliva begins to, well, dissolve it, releasing those trapped gas bubbles all at once. That sudden pressure release, well, it creates the signature popping, crackling sensation people immediately recognize.
The reaction was instant fascination. Felt like nothing they had ever experienced in food before. Part candy, part sensation, part surprise. And with that surprise came something else. Rumors, urban legends, and myths that spread far beyond the product itself, turn, turning it into a cultural curiosity as much as a treat. Now, the key idea here is simple, but important. Sometimes innovation isn't about making food better in a traditional sense, it's about making it unforgettable.
So we come back now to William A. Mitchell. After everything, after whipped topping that replaced cream, that powdered drink that went to space, and the candy that turned eating into an experience, well, and an urban legend all at once, the question becomes unavoidable. Why don't we know his name?
Well, part of that answer is how innovation actually works inside companies like General Foods. Most of what shapes everyday life doesn't come from visible inventors or public figures. It comes from teams, labs, and corporate systems where credit is often absorbed into the brand rather than the individual. The products become famous, not the people behind them. And in that process, scientists like Mitchell end up shaping culture quietly, without recognition, even as their work becomes part of daily routines across millions of homes.
But his story reveals something bigger than one company or one career. It shows how convenience slowly reshapes reality itself. When foods become easier, faster, and more consistent, our, well, expectations shift without even noticing. What we define as normal begins to change. Science stops being something distant or abstract. It becomes, well, the texture of everyday life, from breakfast tables to holiday desserts. And maybe most importantly, it reminds us that influence does not always require fame.
One man in a lab helped redefine what food could be. Not fresher, not more natural, but easier, faster, and more consistent. And maybe that's the real shift. Not just what we eat, but what we're willing to accept when convenience tastes just as good as the real thing.
Yeah, so Cool Whip, Tang, and Pop Rocks. Cool Whip.
Whipped cream.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cool Whip, right?
I mean, I don't know. Is it really the same? This is going to be another episode.
Probably. Maybe we debunk the urban myths about, Pop Rocks and Coke.
Yes.
By the way, you will survive if you do both of them. I'm living proof. Just so you
He says, I've tried it.
know.
I
Now,
volunteered as tribute.
but I do believe if you have Mementos and Coca-Cola, the outcome might be that you just kind of get bloated, maybe.
Right. Fill up with gas.
Yeah.
It's close to exploding.
If you would like to support this podcast, tell a friend and help get the word out.
If you would like to support the show, you can do so at Patreon or take advantage of our sponsors. Those links are in the show notes.
Kat and I want to say thank you for listening.
Whether you've been with us from day one or just tuning in, thank you.
Make sure you join our Facebook group at Info on the Go.
Over there, you can get to know us.
Yeah, or just ask us a question.
But whatever you do, follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Make sure you send us some fan mail. You can use that link in the show note. Or what we would really prefer is for you to leave us a review.
And leaving that review really does help others find us. You could email William or myself directly at
infoonthegopodcast@gmail.com.
all of that is in the show notes. Till next time.
Stay curious. If your stomach's been off lately, like bloating, reflux, or just not feeling right, there's a simpler way to get back on track.
With Professor B's Digestive Aid, which is an all natural blend of pure honey and ancient apitherapy, a herb rooted in Roman tradition. You know how at least they had some things right? It's designed to gently support and balance your digestion.
No long ingredient list, no harsh additives, just two powerful, time tested ingredients working together. It's even the same formula used to help cancer patients manage digestive discomfort.
And right now, you can get an exclusive 10% off any product. Just use our code INFOGO at checkout.